Keith Krach, the Undersecretary of State for the U.S. He focuses on economic growth, energy, and the environment. We're so happy you're here because you were telling me about this European tour that you've been doing for a week. But before we head into that, I do have to ask you about the situation going on with TikTok, because there's a lot of confusion in the market as to what's going to happen now that the court has jumped in, what's going to happen to the terms of the future deal. What can you tell us about it, and what is the administration going to do in the future weeks?
Well, Maria, thanks for having me back on Bloomberg. It's great to be here in Brussels. You know, on TikTok, it's more than about one company. It's more than about a TikTok and a WeChat. What it's really about is the CCP's threat, the Chinese Communist Party's threat to democracy and their surveillance state. So if you look at what they are doing, they're extending that great one-way China firewall where all the data comes in, but none comes out. And reciprocally, all the propaganda goes out, but the truth does not come in. And so TikTok just happens to be an app like WeChat that collects massive amounts of data that goes into their AI machine so they can come up with that one number. And that one number is a social credit score in China. It's for every person, every company. And that one number defines how loyal you are to the Chinese Communist Party. Now, they can do that in Brussels. They can do that in the U.S. They can do it anywhere in the world. And it's like, how loyal? It's not really how loyal they are, but how easy will it be to get to ally with the Chinese Communist Party or turn them. So that's really what it's about. And the President's been very clear about this in terms of protecting American security on that. And that's really what the Clean Network's all about.
And but when you look at what is happening with the court, and they say you may have overstepped some of the authority there, your views are very clear. I mean, you're saying right now China is a national threat and you don't trust any of these apps. Do you think the court is then making a mistake, and are you going to win this case? Well,
you know, I don't know, but all I know is that it's great that we have three branches of government, have checks and powers, so we don't end up with a lifelong dictator like President Xi.
What do you respond to the Chinese when they say what the U.S. is doing is just extortion?
Well, I would say, well, look at your market. And by the way, you can't even use your Twitter that you use all around the world. Your ambassadors use all around the world. You don't let Google in. You don't let Facebook in. I mean, I just say you're the biggest hypocrites in the world.
And I do have to ask you, because you know the tech world very well. Do you worry, however, that, you know, if you're an American company, you're a supplier perhaps to Huawei, you're not allowed to work with Huawei anymore? Do you worry that ultimately these restrictions are detrimental to U.S. companies, or could be in the future? They're losing a big client.
You know what's interesting? So I took Secretary Pompeo out I hosted him in Silicon Valley at the beginning of the year. We kicked it off with a dinner at my house. We had 36 of the top CEOs. We had them all go around the room, tell your favorite China story. And I can tell you, it's the same as when I have my bilaterals with different governments. They'll literally look around and they'll say, we don't trust them. And nobody trusts them. And one of the things that I've said, that I actually said that night, is I said, the Chinese Communist Party is a real and urgent threat to democracy around the world. It's also a real and urgent threat to your businesses, because they don't just want to compete. They want to put you out of business. And in Silicon Valley, we say corporate responsibility is social responsibility. We also now say, you know, it's also global economic security. So what we've seen now, over the last 6 months, since the pandemic, citizens of the world have woken up to the fact, the truth about China's, I call it their 3 C's doctrine: concealment, co-option, and coercion. These citizens understand that the pandemic is a result of the concealment of the virus. And they understand that the invasion of Hong Kong has eviscerated their freedoms. And they also understand that the coercion in Xinjiang has created some of the most crazy human rights abuses in a long, long time.
And that's definitely a topic here in Europe. But I'm wondering, I know you went to Germany. I know you went to 3 different cities in Germany. What are the Germans telling you about Huawei and 5G? Because they still have to roll out big contracts there. Did they tell you we're not going to work with Huawei?
Well, by the way, they are, first of all, we respect Germany's right to make a decision. And, it comes down to German law, German basic law, which is their constitution, Article 1. And that says 2 words, human dignity. And they totally get it. So I'm very...
So they told you, no, we're not going to work with Huawei. They said that?
Well, by the way, they totally agree with us on the North Star. And I had great meetings with many of the CEOs, with their governments. They're writing that IT security act. We talked with them about paragraph 109 and 9B, because what they're really doing is they're creating a digital trust standard that leverages off the things we're doing in the clean network and also EU's 5G clean toolbox.
And just a very brief answer here, because we're running out of time, but I do want to put the question, what about the Nord Stream pipe? Did you talk with the Germans about this? Because the U.S. has said if you go ahead with this, there could be sanctions.
I think they understand our position is very clear, and it's aligned with this same position as the EU. We see this as a tool for Russia, so we see it as a threat to European security.
Well, Undersecretary, thank you so much for joining us here on Bloomberg. It was very great to see you.